now 10 game weeks into this championship season, and as you know, every week on the channel I go ahead and make my score predictions. So as a result of that, I've predicted every championship match that has taken place so far this season, and from those results I've gone ahead and formulated what the championship league table would currently look like if every single one of my predictions came true. And let me just say, I have been so harsh on some teams and so kind to some others. And do let me know down below if you think there's been any sides this season who you think you've been quite kind to with your weekly predictions, or you think you've been quite harsh on as well. But without any further ado, let's jump into it. So starting out at the bottom of my table, we do have Huddersfield Town, the only championship side this season who I am yet to predict to go ahead and win a game. Of the 10 game weeks that we've had so far, I've predicted 3 draws for Huddersfield and 7 losses, which does seem quite harsh, but on the surface of it, I'm only 4 points out from their actual season so far and 1 placing off their actual season in this table, as they're currently sat 23rd in the league. So yeah, Huddersfield I have been quite harsh on so far, but you could argue rightly so with how bad they've been at times. I am massively out when it comes to Rotherham so far this season though, because I've currently got them down in 23rd to have only gone on and picked up 7 points this season, when they've actually gone ahead and doubled that tally in real life with 14 points on the board so far this season. Fair play to Rotherham, week in week out they are proving me wrong at the moment, and in a lot of those games where I've maybe predicted them to sneak a draw or something like that, they've ended up picking up all 3 points. Brilliant record at home so far this season, and on the road they've kept things really tight as well. Arguably my worst shout of the video so far comes with Reading though, who I've got all the way down in 22nd and to have just picked up 7 points this season, when in actuality they're currently 3rd in the table on 18 points. Now Reading have been a bit of a tough side to call, where they've been a sort of all or nothing team. You know, they've won 6, drawn none and lost 4. I've predicted quite a few draws so far this season for Reading. I think I've only predicted them to win 1 match, and the rest of those games they've obviously gone on to win, I've predicted draws in the end. Listen, they've got great bounce back ability and have been quite a tricky one with score predictions so far, because we have seen, you know, Sunderland, Sheffield United and the like put 3 or 4 goals past them, but the next game week they'll just bounce back like that, like nothing happened. So yeah, Reading, I apologise, I've been massively harsh on you guys so far. I do start to pull things back with the next few predictions though. In 21st place I've got Hull City with 8 points going off my predictions so far this season. In actuality they're 20th in the league table with 11 points so far this season, so only 3 more than I've gone ahead and predicted them to pick up so far this season. Hull been another sort of unpredictable tough side to put your finger on so far. With Wigan Athletic, I am a little bit further off with them. I've currently got them down in 20th with 9 points from their season so far, when in actuality they're slap bang in the middle of the table in 12th at the moment with 13 points, so they're 4 points better off than I've gone ahead and predicted them to be. I have predicted quite a fair few draws for Wigan so far this season, to be fair. With Blackpool, I've got them pretty spot on so far this season with my predictions. I've got them in 19th going off my score lines. They're currently 19th in real life, albeit they're just 2 points better off than I have them down for. 11 points Blackpool have picked up so far this season, when I've got them down for 9 points so far. So not a million miles off with them, which I'm happy about. With Stoke, I'm also fairly within touching distance of them. I've got them down for 9 points so far this season, when in actuality they've picked up 12. So that's, you know, the difference of 1 game week there. You know, 1 win for Stoke is what I'm off with them at the moment. But currently 14th in real life. Obviously have had that little bit of a bounce since Alex Neil's come in as well. I do start to fall down a little bit when it comes to Coventry though. They're the only side that's winless in the championship, and every week I keep predicting them to win, because I keep thinking surely this is the game week where Coventry start to get the ball rolling, but it's just not happened for them so far this season. Albeit they have played less matches than everyone else, but currently they are rooted to the bottom of the championship and only 3 points, and going off my predictions so far, I've been a bit too kind to them and predicting them to pick up 11 as things stand. stand. In terms of Luton Town, with their points tally so far this season, I'm not a million miles away from that. In my league table, I've got them in 16th, when in actuality they're up in 11th. But in terms of the actual point total, I'm only a couple points off what Luton have picked up in real life. So 11 points, fairly close to the 13 they've got, which I'm happy about. QPR have really stormed up the league table with 3 wins from their last 5. They're currently in the top 6 on 15 points. I've got them down in 15th on 11th. So all the teams I've got in and around this part of the table, it is very close with their points margins. There's not really all too much between them. But yeah, this recent run from QPR has obviously shot them up the league in real life. And the last team that I've got on 11 points at the moment is Sunderland. I've got the same margin for error between QPR and where they are in real life and Sunderland and where they are in real life. Currently 5th in the table on 15 points. So I am 4 points out on Sunderland, which isn't the biggest swing in the world. It looks a little bit more dramatic with league placings at the moment, but that's because everyone is quite well bunched up in the Championship at this time. You know, a couple points the difference between a bunch of places at the moment. But yeah, Sunderland pleasantly surprised me with how well they've adapted to Championship life, and particularly with how they've coped with some pretty big injuries in the recent weeks as well. When it comes to Cardiff, I am there or thereabouts. They have actually just overshot them when it comes to their place in the league table and their points tally. They're currently 18th on 11 points. I've got them 13th on 12 points, so not a massive difference there, a swing of only 1 point. Obviously they made quite the bold decision to go ahead and part company with Steve Morrison the other day. I gave my thoughts on that decision on the latest episode of the Championship Roundup, but yeah, that one did come as quite a surprise. For me, there have been ups and downs so far this season, but I think that was always expected with the high turnover of players there. And slap bang in the middle of my table, also on 12 points, I have got Swansea City. And yes, finally a team who I have absolutely nailed in terms of their real life points tally and my predicted points tally so far. Swansea City, I can read you guys. I have got them a little bit higher in terms of the league table, in terms of the general scheme of my predictions. I've got them in 12th at the moment. In real life, they're down in 16th. But in terms of having 12 points on the board, my predictions match up to reality. When it comes to Bristol City, I'm also not a million miles away off them either. I've got them on 12 points at the moment. In real life, they picked up 14, a little bit higher up in the league table as well. They're currently 9th in my league standings. I've got them 11th at the moment, but not a million miles away on them. Been pretty good at reading them so far. Now, while this may seem quite a big jump in the table from where Birmingham are at the moment, you know, they're 17th and going off my standings, I've got them in 10th. In terms of an overall point tally, I've been pretty accurate with predicting Birmingham this season. I've got them on 13 points at the moment. In real life, they've gone ahead and picked up 12. I seem to remember, I think it was last season, I was a little bit overly harsh on Birmingham, so maybe I've taken that into my considerations this season, but I've been pretty accurate with calling them, albeit in the grand scheme of my table, I've got them a little bit higher up. Hey, I'm always going to be a little bit biased when it comes to my team, Preston North End, but in terms of an overall point tally, I'm also not a million miles away from Preston this season either. In real life, Preston have picked up 12 points from a possible 30 so far this season. Going off my predictions, I've got us to have 14 at the moment, so only 2 points better off in my predictions than we are in real life, albeit once again bumped a few places up the table. I am quite a way off when it comes to West Brom though. They're 21st in real life. I've got them all the way up in 8th going off my predictions. They've only picked up 10 points so far this season, and I've got them with 16 at the moment. Now, the sticking point with West Brom is the fact that they've drawn 7 of their opening 10 matches, and of some of those 7 draws, they should have won some of those matches, and obviously in my predictions they've gone ahead and reflected that. You know, they've only won 1 of their opening 10. They've only lost 2 as well. They've just been very draw heavy, and as a result of that, their point tally hasn't been great so far this season, and I have overshot them ever so much. I've also gone ahead and overshot Millwall so far this season. They're 4 points better off in my predictions than they are in real life. I think a lot of that comes down to, generally speaking, at the Den, I mostly predict them to win most of their games there, and they have had a few occasions this season where they have come unstuck in some of those home matches. But yeah, real life, they're 13th on 13 points at the moment. I've got them 7 on 17. Watford have been on quite an inconsistent run recently, and the wins have been quite hard to come by. I've overshot them a little bit in my predictions so far this season. I've got them 6th in the table on 17 points, when in actuality they're 10th on 14. So the difference of 3 points there, not a million miles away from them. You know, once again, that's one game week, one more game which they possibly could have gone ahead and won. But yeah, overshot them a little bit so far. A massive overshot on my behalf though, and a prediction that's as bad as me having Reading to have only picked up 7 points so far this season is Middlesbrough, who, going off my predictions, I've got them to have picked up 18 points from a possible 30 so far this season, in 5th in the table, when in actuality they're currently in the bottom 3 with 10 points from their first 10. My reasoning behind, I think, being so kind to Middlesbrough is that thought process of, you know, another game goes by, another game that Middlesbrough haven't won. I go into a prediction thinking, surely this is going to be the game week where they start to turn things around. And even in some of those matches where they haven't won, there have been some positive elements. Now I was thinking, okay, this will be the week that they win, and I want to sort of get ahead of the curve, but I've just not been able to do that when it comes to Borough this season, and I've massively overshot them in my predictions so far, with them being 8 points better off. When it comes to Blackburn Rovers, not a million miles away on them. I've got them 4th on 18 points, when in real life they're 7th on 15 at the moment, so only a difference of 3 points there with Blackburn, who I have ever so slightly overestimated as of right now. I am pretty spot on when it comes to Burnley though. Going off my predictions, I've got them in 3rd in the Championship on 18 points. In real life they're 4th on 17 points, so the smallest of over predictions with Burnley so far, but 10 games in and a difference of 1 place and 1 point, I'll take that every day of the week. I've been quite impressed with Burnley as it goes so far. Just been another one of those Championship sides who at times has maybe been a little bit too draw heavy, with 5 draws so far. And I am pleased to say that I do have the top 2 spot on so far, albeit I have slightly overshot them in terms of their points total. I do have Norwich in 2nd place, that's where they currently are in the Championship, albeit I've got them as 5 points better off than they are in real life. You know, on this winning run I've been predicting them to win week in, week out. I've got them on 25, they're on 20 in real life, so not a million miles off. And the team who I have got top of the tree going off my predictions at the moment is Sheffield United, who are there in real life. Once again, similar with Norwich, who I have ever so slightly overshot in terms of their overall point tally. Sheffield United, I've actually predicted to win 9 out of 10 matches so far this season that they've played. I've only predicted them to drop points in one of those matches, and that was a draw. So yet to predict Sheffield United to lose a match this season, but they have been the best side in the Championship so far, so I'm not massively ashamed of that really. But guys, there we have it. There is the Championship table right there according to my score predictions after 10 game weeks of this season. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this one down below. Who are the teams who you think I've been a little bit kind on and a little bit harsh on? Looking at this table right here, definitely been too kind to Borough and definitely been way too harsh on Reading. There we have it though guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content. Thanks for tuning in though guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.